What up, Big Al here, V101, and you know, it's already front page of the news, Arden Fairmont. That was yesterday, and now we're dealing with today in East Sacramento. This thing is rolling because of the whole DA situation about Stephon Clark and the protest that's going on with it. So why not get the person that's already there, the ear to the ground of what's happening? My man Barry Accius, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, baby?
Hey, man. Back at it again, man. Back at it again, man.
Unfortunately, too bad we're not in a place where it could be really positive.
Yeah.
And I could report to you after we talked a year before and we said, you know what, we need to just, after the decision's made, whether it's a negative or a positive, we need to come down here and talk about it and just give the people the truth.
All right, so I've heard all the news reports. We also posted on our website, v1011fm.com. But I wanted to get your take on what happened, Arden Fair Mall and also East Sacramento.
First of all, shouts out to all the 80-plus soldiers, my comrades, the best of the best that got arrested. I got to give them a salute, a clap up. I had just left because we were dispersing.
Yeah.
My car was in the 40s area where we did our protest in the fabulous 40s. And we were going back towards where we started, and was over there by Trader Joe's. The police officers in riot gear, the sheriff, as well as the SAC PD, because we have to recognize the two different entities, as well as the highway patrol, the three different entities.
Right.
What ended up happening, because I was able to kind of move and leave and go into the 40s, right, go to my car, everybody else was moving towards back to the main area where we started, where Trader Joe's is.
Right.
So what they did is they said to those who were trying to get back to their car, you can't come. You can't go to your car.
Oh.
So they pushed them in a way to where the only way they can go is on that bridgeway, right? And what ends up happening is more police and their riot gear came and trapped them. So it's like, if you don't disperse, you'll get arrested.
But we're trying to get to our car so we can disperse.
And now you're going to get arrested.
Wow.
And now we wake up in Sacramento today with 80-plus arrests. We're talking about clergy members. Yeah. We're talking about press. We're talking about young students.
Yeah, a Sacramento Bee reporter was arrested as well.
Yeah. We're talking about such a big arrest. When you look at the framework of all the stuff that we've done, and a lot of us have been on this crusade to save Sacramento, to bring awareness to Sacramento since 2014. Let's talk about the big Golden One shut down. Nobody got arrested. Let's talk about BLM being at the DA's office for almost a year now. There's only probably been maybe 2 or 3 arrests in that whole frame. Let's talk about us shutting down the freeway. Nobody got arrested. Let us talk about us occupying the sheriff department, the police department. No one got arrested. Let's talk about us taking down and shutting down City Hall numerous times. Numerous times on numerous occasions. No one arrested except one time, and that person wasn't a protester. He wasn't an activist. He wasn't someone of leadership. He wasn't even a citizen. He was just kind of a guy that was there. But you're talking about no arrest. And even in the shutdown of the mall with the brave Arden 13 and myself and some community leadership, Big Al, no arrest. But today, I wake up and I find that, thank goodness, my comrades have all walked out, because we watched them walk out from being detained or from being prisoners of war, as I said. You have 80-plus arrests. Now Sacramento has to sit and stand by that in a moment that leadership in Sacramento, outside of those who have been trying to tell truth to power, have said, we're here to heal, we're here to bridge this gap as a community, and what can we do to make sure whatever decision the DA made, and it was a negative decision for most of the community, how can we move forward? So I guess moving forward is shutting us up and arresting about 80 people because they were having a peaceful protest, and because it was in a neighborhood of privilege.
So who do you think is responsible for that crackdown, if you want to call it a crackdown? I mean, is it the police chief? Is it who do you think was responsible for that? Are they just following orders, or what was going on with that?
Like I said, I think it's everybody. I think everybody in that law enforcement clique, right? I don't know what was going on. I can't say. I don't know if Sheriff Jones called Chief Hahn. I don't know if the city manager. I don't know who the captains.
Right.
Don't know. But what I do know, Highway Patrol was there. The sheriff were there, and Sac PD were there. At one particular time, I thought it was just the sheriff. But then when they did their switching, because as I got back on ground to make sure my comrades were safe and to see who were getting arrested and where they were going, just to make sure everything was, in motion, right, to get them released or where they're going to go, I saw the Sac PD involved as well. And more times, I would say that in these incidents, Sac PD has kind of allowed us to be in a space of healing, and that's our protesting is a place of healing and not really interrupt that. But in this case, because we were in the fabulous 40s, and everybody thought we were going to go to Golden One,
right?
We used the element of surprise because that was the whole notion. Golden One, Golden One. We showed up at the fabulous 40s, and the narrative they're trying to use is that there was vandalism. And I tell them, be very careful about that narrative. That narrative of vandalism is what Stephon Clark got killed by. So don't please say that 80 of us, and there was a group of at least 200 people marching,
right,
that they vandalized property. It was too dark. You cannot tell me that folks were starting to scratch up cars and do these different things. These are the narratives they push, the pictures that they paint to say this is why we had to arrest it because it was unruly. Nothing was unruly about what happened last night.
Yeah, I hear those reports, and yet I hear that. I mean, as somebody watching the news or listening to the news or what have you, you hear about cars were keyed up, and it just starts building from there. Tires being slashed.
Yeah.
It just
But where are the pictures, Al?
Right, and that's what I want to know.
Where are the pictures?
That's what I want to know. What really happened? Was it that bad? Was it just 2 or 3 people like, or was it the whole squad just like, look, we about to tear stuff up?
Peaceful protests. Now, if someone might have done something, because I can't sit there and say what is and what's not.
True.
I have to look at it on, show me the evidence, show me the proof, show me the fresh keys on someone's car. But when I was in the protest, and I was there a majority of the time until I left, right? And when I left, we were no longer in the neighborhood. We were on the street on Folsom going back, right? There was no cars.
Okay.
Everybody was focused on the mission. And the mission was to make sure Stephon Clark's name was raised to a higher degree, his legacy was intact, that he would not be the criminal, that he was the victim in this case, to ask for the officers to be fired immediately, to show us what justice looks like here in Sacramento moving forward, if you want to talk to us about healing, because they use these words of healing. And I say, how can you heal without justice? And we say the same thing. So our mission was also to shed light on the DA.
Yeah.
The thing about it, what made all of this stuff worse, narrative. Everything is about a narrative, a collective narrative. What is this narrative, right? The narrative that a lot of city officials and media, unfortunately, not my brother Big Al, but media was putting out was they're going to riot and burn it down. How are we going to riot and burn it down? We don't even know what the decision the DA is going to make. Right. So you guys are already assuming the DA is not going to be favorable for the community, right? Favorable to the family. And then when the DA did what she did, the one thing that stood out in front of all of us, the world, was how she defamed his name. So it wasn't necessarily about the case, where we understood, for those who know what we know, as much humanly as I want to believe that there could be justice in this moment, when you look at the facts, and when the DA first came out in her first press conference, our only press conference about this moment, she basically told you, I cannot press charges because there's nothing here for me to press charges because the laws that protect the police Bill of Rights, and just the law of just law in general won't help me prosecute. So no one is going to take a case that they can't win. So I already knew that in public opinion, it's not going to be favorable. But in reality, when you look at law, and that's what they work with, law and how the law works for them, they're going to stick to the letter of the law. I was expecting her just to break that down. But what she did is just really created a criminal element to this young man. This young man, 22-year-old man, that was lost in his moment and was kind of fined for help. That he was this guy who was a bad dude, so him getting killed was okay, right? That's what you kind of pictured.
Right.
And when you picture that and you think about it, and folks who know him and folks who say that's not right, we're now more focused on the DA, right? We're not even focused on the fact that you can press charges, but we're focused on the fact that you're defaming him, right? Like, let him, he's dead. So you're killing him twice? You're putting him on trial where he can't say anything? So I think what the city has done, and the media has done, and the DA has done, has created a more uncomfortable atmosphere because, one, they should have speeded up the process. Two, defamed his name. Three, they try to create this idea that black people were going to go out and burn the city because of previous things that have happened in previous states and cities. And then when you are now pushing against the line and you're telling us you want us to heal and join together as a community, police, community people all together, you're arresting 81 of us. We just got done doing a shutdown, a beautiful shutdown, and we were able to walk, hold court in the street in front of the mall. There was not business as usual.
Right.
No one got arrested. What was so different about last night?
So it's more of the demonization of Stephon Clark,
man, criminalized
more than whatever the decision was with the DA.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us already knew what was going to happen. Mind you, big guy, let me give you some history on this DA.
Okay.
This DA that got reelected, and I don't know how. There's been 30 plus cases of police misconduct, murder, or whatever. She is not charged not one. She's not charged one officer. So when you got that statistic and you're looking at cases throughout her time of being a DA that were a little bit more cut and dry, and I'll take Joseph Mann, for instance.
Okay.
The officer said, let's run this mother effer over. That's premeditated murder right there. Joseph Mann's officers did not get charged. And when you have that recording and you're still not getting a charge, when you have such a blind spot with the Stephon Clark case, well, it could have been a cell phone, it was a toolbar, well, this happened, well, that happened.
Right.
There were a lot of infractions that I believe in the public police, and even Police Chief Hunt will admit that the police did. To what level, he won't explain, but he said there were things. When you have a case like that, there is scrutiny to where you can say, well, this is not a dead case of, those police officers use excessive force.
Yeah.
But other cases, right blindly, you're saying, well, you didn't just see that? You just didn't hear
it was
them,
on video.
Yeah, it's like you just didn't hear them say, let's run this guy over.
Yeah.
You just didn't see the excessive shots being done to this man. So when you see those things and that didn't happen, there was no hope for us.
So at this point, what do we do now? Do you keep protesting? What happens at this moment? Keep protesting, keep the awareness going? Is it trying to do the peaceful protest? I was talking to somebody on the radio today. It was, she was angry and she wanted to lash out. And I said, there's a difference between protests and revenge.
Yeah.
It's got to be that fine line there. But what's the general plan? She was for the protest,
okay, yeah.
But she was so angry over what happened with the decision of Stephon Clark. She didn't say, I want all police to die. But she was very, 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 very angry with it. And so I had to try to, de-escalate. But a lot of it is just wondering is there a next plan of attack? Is it keep the protests going? Is it just bringing things to awareness? Or what's going to happen now? I'm not sure there's an exact itinerary, but what's the general sense of everything?
Well, I think the general sense is continue to make folks uncomfortable. As I said with my leadership, on Sunday morning, after we proceeded to shut down the Arden Mall with the Arden 13, the Coalition of Black Students, I said, "Are you paying attention now, Sacramento?" Because as BLM led the first protest in front of the police station in Freeport, it was kind of like the coming, like, all right, we're paying attention,
right?
And we're,
right.
Just because you guys did it on a Saturday, that's the cunningness of this DA. You actually make a decision on a Saturday. The Kings aren't playing, the weather is bad, and it's a Saturday, right? And you're getting everyone in position because you guys think this is about to be Armageddon. We did what we needed to do. We expressed ourselves in the way that we needed to express ourselves and said, this will not be taken lightly. But they didn't know what our move was going to be. Because throughout all these meetings of these folks trying to find the pulse, they were never going to ever find the pulse because the people that you were talking to figure out the pulse don't have the pulse of the people.
Right.
Don't know generally what the people are really thinking.
Yeah.
So all these safe zones you want to put in theory, it's great. But in reality, it's not going to work because if myself and other leadership down the line are not in agreement to that, to move the people that way, we're not going to roll and do it the way you want us to do it. We're going to proceed the way it's been done. And I think calculatedly, we have done the element of surprise, the shutdown of the mall, showing up at the Fabulous 40s in a rich, affluent neighborhood.
Right.
We've done these things to kind of create this awareness, but as well as show not only are we tactful, we're also peaceful. But we're trying to show, let's use common sense and let's fire these officers. Let's change policy. Let's really make the true change if we're talking about healing and justice. So what's going to happen now is, since you now decided to arrest over 80 of our leaders and individuals who have stood up for the side of right, you're going to probably have more intense protests. You're probably going to have more people showing up to the city hall, showing up to the Sac City School of Supervisors, showing up at the police station, showing up at different rallies and protests throughout Sacramento. Because guess what? The time is now for us all to come together and unite as one to really make true change and a part of us saving Sacramento, so we don't have more incidents of Stephon Clark.
So the whole idea is just save Sacramento from itself, right?
I mean, I believe so. I think that when you look at it in honesty, Sacramento needs saving, because Sacramento has a lot of issues deep down that it's never wanted to deal with, because it's been okay with having everything comfortable for those who are on the side of privilege, right? So when we're marching down the Fab 40s and they're like hearing folks that don't sound like trick-or-treaters, or don't sound or look like folks that are looking at the lights on December and Christmas time, it's like, honey, I think Johnny has more friends than what we expected for dinner, right? We're coming over. And then when you kind of flip and have the idea, yeah, we're going to Golden what? But we're really here. And then when you turn around for the second year in a row, financially, we throw a dagger in their plans about business as usual as shutting down the mall as our sit-in protest, and we shut it down. We're making it known that we're not going to be here being your placemat. We're not going to be here continuing to go on with business as usual until real equity, real change happens. And however that really looks, we're here for it, but it has to happen.
It's got to happen. The people have to speak out. The people. I spoke with other persons, like, America is hard.
Talk to me.
America is hard, but we have the ability to speak out against the hardness.
Yes.
And this is what made America America.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be someone that's going to think this is totally evil and totally wrong, because they don't see it.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Why was what we're doing is evil? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it's almost like a double demonization.
Yeah. Like, why are peaceful protests are evil? Why? Because it inconvenienced you? Because we're screaming at the top of our lungs? Because you now have to identify with your privilege? You have to sit there and hear that no, Stephon Clark wasn't a criminal. He is the one that was the victim. And you want to paint the picture, he was black, he deserved to die? Because when you look at what social media has become, it's been a cesspool of racism. As we are speaking truth to power, you have the racist folks coming in basically saying he deserved it. He should have listened to the police. And I think more than ever that frustrates us, because the police could have did more to keep him alive, and they didn't. The police muted their cameras in the moment where the conversation was going to be with the other officer that came on.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. All right. And
the
DA was talking about that, but never brought why did they mute, and said that they made some decisions after they talked about why this happened and why that happened, and it was during the time that the body cameras would mute. My thing is this: if an officer who's supposed to have a body camera on time, just like me or you, who's supposed to have a license on us at all times, and if we drive without our license, we will be fined, and some possibly could be arrested. The same kind of thing should happen to the officers. There should be some kind of suspension, some kind of fine. Hi, I don't care. You know what? It's a dysfunctional body camera. You should have brought it in to get it checked. There should be some kind of consequences, because us, the people, need to be clear to know that these officers were on the right side of right. And when I say that the officers really believed that was an immediate danger when they approached Stephon Clark. We want to know what actually happened. If you guys made a mistake, and unfortunately it took somebody's life, then own up to that. Resign. Take the consequences that is deserving of you for taking a life. But I'm going to tell you this, Big Al. When in the Thomas, a mountain lion can roam the suburb streets, a mountain lion, something that we don't usually see, can roam the city streets of Sacramento in the Thomas suburbs,
right,
and live and get tranquilized. And a black male in his own community going to his grandparents' house gets shot 8 times. We're talking about equality. We're talking about justice. How can a mountain lion get more justice than a black man in Sacramento? We need to start asking ourselves those questions.
Just like the old De La Soul line, a meteor has more right than my people.
My God.
Pa said that. That's hey, so the saga's going to continue. It's going to keep rolling, and folks are going to vent their anger and their frustration and let it be known. So how...
And not only anger, King, is also disappointment, dog.
Yeah, disappointment.
Because for some people, you hope and have a glimmer of hope that the justice system can do a little bit better, but you're always continually brought down to the reality that the justice system has been designed for people that don't look like people of color.
Very Accius. One more time, back again at it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate, like I said, the platform. I appreciate all folks that are supporting, all the real folks that know what we're doing, all the protesters and the activists. We put our lives on the line, man. A lot of my colleagues that got arrested, I felt bad because I felt that usually I'm always at the end, right? And I'm like, okay, we're cool. Let me just go.
Yeah.
I needed some rest because I did the 24-hour shift with the young people, and my brother Ryan from Sacramento Accius and Pastor Les had left earlier. We had all sat down and we just really was there. We literally was at the mall for 24 hours, man, just there. And then when we had to get up, we still had some other things that we had to do. Rewind. Here's another motion that's happening. We have the Kings and Queens Rise event today, part 2, which is going to get the Kings who have a partnership with Bill Black into creating some healing spaces for our young people.
Right.
Not just diverting in just civil disobedience, right?
Right?
We're also coming into a place of healing, real healing that our community identifies with, not healing that you tell me to go to a safe zone and vet my problems. Real conversation, real dialogue, real emotion, soul development. Folks that were based out here in Sacramento that just came out with an album will be a part of that piece. And so we're going to have the conversation I think that some people are afraid to have, and we're going to hear from our young people. We're also going to hear from our adults. But when you come off from something like that was the mall incident, and you have that momentum and you have that energy, and those kids are revved up and other people are revved up because they're like, yeah, you thought we were going to burn it down, but we're using our minds and doing it other ways to shut you down because we're all thinkers in this moment. Don't get me wrong. We want to burn some stuff down, but we know those people would be displaced where it happened. And we know how they would like to pinpoint the blame and say, see, you see what it is? We're not doing that. But what Sacramento is showing us is their true colors. It's showing us that they don't really want to hear from the people. They don't really want to look at the truth and identify the reality that so many people of color deal with, this oppressive system of white supremacy. They don't want to deal with it. So what they did is made 80 arrests. And with those 80 plus arrests, what it did is, again, put us on a national page. So thank you very much for now making everybody pay attention again.
There it is. Very Accius. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Always.